Welcome back to another chilling episode. Today we dive into the dark side of food delivery with 3 creepy, true horror stories that will make you think twice before ordering in. Imagine this. You're home alone, maybe after a long day, and your stomach starts to rumble. You pull out your phone, browse through your favorite food delivery app, and with a few taps your hunger pangs are soothed, at least in your mind. But in the shadows, something sinister stirs. These stories come from those who deliver, those who order, and those who experience the unexpected when hunger meets horror. So, dim the lights, grab your late-night snack and prepare yourself, because what I'm about to share will leave you chilled to the bone. The clock on the dashboard glowed an eerie green, reading 2:47 a.m. John, a seasoned delivery driver for Urban Bites, sighed, rubbing his tired eyes. He was used to late-night deliveries, but this one felt different. The address was in a neighborhood he didn't recognize, a maze of dark, winding roads lined with looming trees. John checked the address on his phone once more, 13 Blackwood Lane. He shivered. The name itself sent a chill down his spine. He found the house at the end of a cul-de-sac, shrouded in darkness, except for a faint glow emanating from the porch light. The house was a Victorian-style mansion, its paint peeling, casting long, distorted shadows in the dim light.
I grabbed the single bag of food, got out of my car, and walked towards the front door. My footsteps echoed in the silence. As I reached the porch, I noticed something strange. A low, guttural growl seemed to emanate from the house, sending a shiver down my spine. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorbell. I told myself it was probably just an old house settling. I pressed the doorbell. Silence. I waited, then pressed it again, holding it down this time. Still, no answer. I glanced at my phone, no new messages. I was about to turn and leave when I heard it, a faint scratching sound coming from inside the house. I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. It sounded like claws on wood. I shone my phone's flashlight on the front window, trying to peer inside, but the curtains were drawn. Suddenly, the scratching stopped. A moment of silence hung in the air, thick and heavy. Then a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. I jumped back, my blood turning to ice. I fumbled for my phone, my hands trembling, and dialed 911. As I spoke to the operator, my eyes darted back to the house, my mind racing.
He heard sirens in the distance, growing louder. Police cars swarmed the house, their flashing lights painting the darkness red and blue. John watched from a distance, his body trembling as officers cautiously approached the house. He could hear the muffled commands of the police, the creaking of the old house as they entered. Time seemed to stand still. Finally, an officer emerged from the house, his face grim. He approached John, who stood frozen, clutching his phone.
"Sir, did you see anyone else around the house?" the officer asked, his voice low. I shook my head, my throat too dry to speak.
"We found the homeowner," the officer continued, his voice grave. "He's deceased. It appears he was attacked by an animal, a large one." John could only stare at the officer, his mind struggling to process the scene. The officer's words echoed in his ears. Attacked by an animal, a large one. He couldn't shake the feeling that the growl he had heard, the scratching at the door, wasn't from any ordinary animal. As the sun began to rise, casting a pale light over the gruesome scene, John drove away from Blackwood Lane, the image of the shadowy figure at the window seared into his memory. He never delivered to that address again. Sarah hummed along to the radio, anticipation bubbling in her stomach. It was Friday night, and she was treating herself to her favorite pizza after a long week. Her phone buzzed, notifying her that the delivery driver was just minutes away. Perfect. A few minutes later, her doorbell rang. Sarah practically skipped to the door, eager to dig into her cheesy delight. She paid the delivery driver, a friendly college student named Ben, and took the pizza box.
"Have a good night," Ben said with a smile, already heading back down the steps. I closed the door and set the steaming pizza box on the kitchen counter. My mouth watered as I opened the box, revealing a perfectly cooked pepperoni pizza. And then I saw it. Nestled amongst the melted cheese and greasy pepperoni was a small folded piece of paper. Curiosity piqued, I picked it up. It wasn't a coupon or a promotional flyer. It was a handwritten note. The handwriting was messy, almost frantic, and the message sent a chill down my spine. "Don't eat the pizza. They're watching."
Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. She glanced back at the door, as if expecting to see someone peering through the peephole. Had the delivery driver written it? He had seemed nice enough, but something about the note filled her with unease. She reread the words. They're watching. Who was they? And what were they watching? Her mind raced. Was it a prank, a cruel joke by a bored delivery driver? Or was there something more sinister at play? Nervous, Sarah checked the locks on her doors and windows. She peered out into the darkness, but the street was quiet, illuminated only by flickering streetlights. The pizza, once so enticing, now sat untouched on the counter, a source of dread rather than delight. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of eyes peering at her from the shadows. She tried to rationalize the note away. Maybe it was a mistake meant for someone else. Maybe the delivery driver had mixed up the orders, but deep down a knot of fear tightened in her stomach.
I decided to call the pizza place, hoping for an explanation. The person who answered the phone was unhelpful, claiming they knew nothing about any notes. I hung up, feeling even more uneasy. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside my window, sent my heart racing. The uneaten pizza remained on the counter, a constant reminder of the unsettling message. The next morning, sunlight streaming through my windows, the note seemed less menacing. Still feeling unnerved, I decided to throw the pizza away, along with the note. I ordered breakfast from a different place, hoping to put the strange experience behind me. But the feeling of unease lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that someone, somewhere knew something I didn't. The pizza and the disturbing message became a chilling reminder that even in the comfort of my own home, danger could lurk in the most unexpected places.
Rain lashed against the windshield, blurring Emily's vision as she navigated the slick city streets. She was on her last delivery of the night, eager to get home and out of the miserable weather. She glanced at the address on her phone, 44 Ravenwood Drive. As she turned onto Ravenwood Drive, she noticed a car behind her, its headlights reflecting in her rearview mirror.
Who was this driver? And why were they following her? It was a nondescript sedan, dark in colour, almost blending into the shadows. Emily didn't think much of it at first. It was a common enough car after all. But as she continued down the winding road, she realized the car was still behind her, maintaining the same distance.
Her heart pounded in her chest as she gripped the steering wheel tighter. She slowed down, and the car behind her mirrored her actions. She sped up slightly, and again, the car followed suit. Emily's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Her unease grew with each passing mile.
She tried to rationalize the situation. Maybe they were just heading in the same direction, she told herself. But deep down, a primal fear began to stir. She had heard stories of delivery drivers being followed, targeted by criminals who saw them as easy prey.
She decided to test her suspicions. Instead of turning onto Ravenwood Drive, she made an unexpected right turn onto a side street. Her pulse quickened as she glanced in her rearview mirror. The dark sedan had followed her. Panic surged through her. She was being followed, and she had no idea who was behind the wheel of that car or what they wanted.
Her mind raced, desperately trying to come up with a plan. She considered pulling over and confronting the driver, demanding to know why they were following her. But what if they were dangerous? What if they were armed? No, she needed to get to a safe place, somewhere well lit and populated.
She spotted a 24-hour gas station up ahead, a beacon of light in the dark, rain-soaked night. With a surge of adrenaline, she swerved the car into the gas station, pulling up next to the gas pumps. She glanced in her rearview mirror. The dark sedan had slowed down but continued driving, disappearing into the night.
Emily sat there for a moment, her heart still pounding, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She had escaped for now. But the encounter left her shaken, a stark reminder of the vulnerability of her job. From that night on, Emily was always looking over her shoulder, her sense of security shattered. The dark sedan, like a phantom from her nightmares, became a haunting reminder of the unseen dangers that lurked in the shadows, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling content. Remember, the next time you order food late at night, think of these stories. Be aware of your surroundings and trust your instincts. Stay safe out there.